Average salary for IPM batch at Nirma is rupees 15 lakh per annum. The average height of NBA players is 6 feet 6 inches. Virat Kohli's average in T20 World Cup is a staggering 88.75. Will I be able to score above average marks? You come across the term average regularly in your daily life. In a data-centric world, average helps us to dominate big data. Hi, I'm Shilpa and I've been an educator for more than 2 decades. This video is about understanding the basic concepts of average without using formula. So in this video, we'll go through the macro approach of solving where you can predict the answer without resorting to the step-by-step approach. What is average? Average, also called as a mean, is a way to take large set of numbers and turn them into a single entity that represents the middle of the group. In fact, it is a central number that represents large set of data. Averages are the superstar in the world of big data, where they simplify complex information into single understandable value. Averages helps us to summarizing large data set with a single number, making it easier to grasp. For example, instead of looking at every person's salary, we can use the average salary to get a sense of typical earnings. Making comparison, we can compare different groups using averages. Is city A hotter than city B? Identifying trends, we can see patterns. Is the price of gas going up or down? Making decisions, businesses rely on averages to understand customers and make smart choices. So the formula for average is given by sum of all observations divided by number of observations. So find the average marks obtained in the 5 subjects. So using the formula, you will say 93 plus 103 plus 102 plus 107 plus 96, which is 501. Divide by the number of observation, which is 5, which gives you 100 point. So average can also be called as a socialism, where if you have anything extra, you distribute equally among all the members. Ruhi had 4 apples on Friday, 3 apples on Saturday, and 5 apples on Sunday. So here, if the question is asking you to find the average, using the formula, you would say 4 plus 3, 7, 7 plus 5, 12. 12 divided by 3, you get 4 apples. So instead, can I say that 5 apples can be distributed as, yes, 4 on Friday, 4 on Saturday, and 4 on Sunday. So let's try to find the average of these numbers visually. What do? We start with the assumed average, right? So let's start with the average, taking the average as 100. So now see how far is each number away from 100. So if you see the first one, it is minus 7. The second one, plus 3, plus 7, and minus 4. So now just take the summation of the smaller numbers. You can cancel plus 7 and minus 7. So you have 3 plus 2, 5. 5 minus 4, 1. So this one has to be distributed equally among all the 5 observations, which is 0.2. So can I say your answer would be 100 plus 0.2. So the answer comes out as 100.2, right? So with this method, you were already very clear that the average is around 100. Then you just have to take a step forward and find out how closer or how far is it from 100. So in this case, it was like 1 extra, which you distributed equally among all of them. Now let's try another example. So here you have temperature for 7 days in Bangalore. So if you see day 1, 20, day 2, 22, like that, you have the temperature for all the 7 days. So from the data itself, are you clear that the answer is around 20, right? So you can start with 20. So now let's say I need to know the exact average. So what we are going to see? Each distance. So 20 is 0 units. 22 is like plus 2. 18 is minus 2. 24 is plus 1, 0, and plus 2. So now see how much is this away from 20. So you take the summation of all. So 2 and minus 2 gets cancelled. So you have 4 plus 1, 5, 5 plus 2, 7. So this 7 has to be distributed equally among all the data. So you have an extra of 1. So just write down that 7 by 7, 1. So your answer would be 20 plus that 1 which gets distributed among all the days. So your answer is 21. On an average, the temperature is 21. Easy, right? So let's try another example. Now here, use the same method, right? You can pause the video, solve on your own and check the answers. So On the onset itself, it's clear your answer is around 200, right? So now you have to see, is it more than 200 or is it less than 200? So let's start with the first one. So that is 12 units away plus 9 minus 2 minus 7 plus 12. So I'll cancel 9 with minus 2 and minus 7. So now let's see, 12 minus 6, 5, 5 plus 11, 17, 17 minus 5, 12, 12 plus 12 is 24. So this 24 has to be distributed equally among how many data is there? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So 24 divided by 8. So you'll have the total average comes out as, you have to add this 3 to this 24 by 8. So your answer would be right. Let me just write down over here. So the final answer is 200 plus 3. So 203 is the average. Easy, right? So here you're adding much smaller numbers rather than adding 212, 209 and all. So that makes it easier. So let's move on to the next one. So here Osha has just completed her graduation and she received 68 in first year, 77 in second year and 66 in the third year. So the question is, if GMAT has a rule which states that she needs to have 70% in graduation. So the question is, will Osha be able to take the test? So here you're only interested to know whether if you take the average of the 3 years, is she getting more than 70 or less than 70? So let's take down the data. We'll start with writing the data. So 70 in 10 plus 75. So that will be the new sum. The number of observation changes to 12. So this is a step-by-step approach. Now let's say I don't want to do any calculation. So how do you do it mentally? So what you're going to say is 73 and 75, they're just bringing an extra 8 kg. Now 8 kg has to be distributed equally among, is it 10 or 12? Yes, you have to distribute equally among 12 students. So what will be the average? So 70, that was initial average, plus that 8 gets distributed equally among the 12 people. So 8 by 12, which is nothing but 2 by 3. So your answer is 70.66 or 70.67 after rounding up. So you hardly do any calculation. You already know the average is little more than 70. And how much more? So that is that 8 kg divided by 12. Because now you are going to distribute among the 12 students in the class. Right. So let's say the options are far apart. You can simply mark the answer without getting an exact answer. Now let's try another question. So here we have a high school teacher who has just graded the students' final exam. So if you see, she scored the average as 63. But notice that one of the scores seemed unusually high. So what happened here is that the score of 69 got misread as 96. And you have the original 20 exam scores, right? So the question is, can you find the correct average exam? Now, don't get scared with this lot of data, right? Main information is initially the average of the class was, yes, so let me just write it down here. Initially, the average of the class was 63. So what are we finding? We are finding the correct average. That is 69, which was misread. So she had used 96 previously. So definitely the average overshot. So the correct answer would be more or less than 63. Yes, it will be lesser than 63. So now our job would be to find out how much less than 63. So how do you find that? So you already know that we had 69 represented as 96. So 96 minus 69, what is the gap? 27. So this 27 was added extra, right? So now distribute this 27 equally among those 20 observations. So when we distribute, we have, so 27 divided by 20. So can I say your new average would be 63 minus 17 by 20, right? So can I read this as 61? 20 minus 7 would be 13 by 20, right? I hope you're comfortable with this operation. So here what we did is 63 minus 1 minus 7 by 20, right? So yes. So 63 minus, again, you're subtracting. So 61, 13 by 20. So hardly any calculations, right? So you're not adding it again. That is putting that 69 instead of 96 and adding it once again would have been very lengthy. So what we did is, whatever was a gap, that is 69, which was misread as 96, right? So whatever the gap, you distributed equally among the observations and you get the answer as 61 13 by 20. So now let's move on to the next question. Okay, the average of 5 numbers is 26 and among them 4 of them is 25. So let me just write it down for you what exactly this information represents. Okay, so we have first 4 observations are 25, 25, 25 and 25. We don't know the 5th one. Let me call it as x. But if you take the average, you get it as 26. So if you use a conventional method, can I say 25 into 4, right? Like the 5th number, should it be more than 25? Of course, more than 25. So the next question becomes, how much more than 25? So that's all you have to find out. Right, so you should be just comfortable looking at the question and answering without writing so many steps. So let me explain you using the number line. Okay, so here the average is 26. Okay, so this is 26. Right, let me say the central number, 26. So 4 of the numbers are lesser than 26, right? 25, that is below the number line. So how much less than 26? So that is like -1, right? Here you have a -1 and a -1. So can I simply say that the 4th number has to be 26 plus 4, which gives you 30. Okay, let me figure. If I have space over here, I'll just write it. Okay, I'll just write it below. So 26 plus 4, that is equal to 30. Yes, so the answer comes out as 30. So I hope you're comfortable over here. So what we did is 25 is like -1 less than 26. So you had that -4 deficiency that has to be balanced with a +4 excess. So the 5th number has to bring that 4 excess. So your answer would be 26 plus 4, 30. Let's try another question. Okay, so try solving this. You can pause the video and try to do it mentally. So the question says average age of a class is 20 years. Okay, so what is the original number of students in the class? So initially the average is 20. That is, each student in the class is 20-year-old. Now when a 35 joins the class, how much extra is he bringing? Yeah, that student is bringing 15 extra. Can I say, now 20 was the initial average. Now it becomes 21. So each child is like 21 years old. So can I say this 15 extra should be distributed equally among 15 students? Including the student who has just joined, right? So initially you had all of them 20, now there is all 21. So can I say that there are 15 students in the class now? That is, that 15 would have been distributed equally among all 15 students. So initially we had 14 students in the class. So this 35-year-old student, when he joins, the number of students becomes 15. Is it clear? Right. So let me just write it down for you. Like we had this 20s. I don't know how many students are there, but when we say average is 20, you can say each of them is 20. So when the 35 year comes in the class, what happens is that each of them becomes 21. So the 35 had brought 15 extra. So it get distributed among 15 students. Okay. So that's how what we are saying is that initially there were 14 students and now there are 15 students in the class. Okay, so why don't you try this question? The question says you have average weight of 10 people visiting the gym is 50 kg. When a new member joins, the average becomes 51 kg. Initially it was 50 kg. What is the weight of the new member? So traditionally you would have done 50 into 10 plus, I don't know the weight of the new member, let me call it as x upon 11 is equal to 51. So your x comes out as 51 into 11 minus 500, or that is 561 minus 500, which is 61. Now I know this looks comforting, but my point is that you should be able to predict the answer as soon as you see the question. So you know that 51 kg, it happens because of this new guy. So what happens is that initially when all were 50, 50, 50, how many times? 10 times. So now this becomes 51, 51, 51. How many times? 11, because this guy is increasing by 11. So can I say that new member is bringing 11 kg extra? So 50 plus 11, the weight of the new member would be 61 kg, right? Easy? Yeah, you need to practice and get comfortable. Now try the same method over here. So the weight of the grandmother is 84 kg, right? Because she is bringing that 4 kg extra. So 4 into 7, including the grandmother, now there are 7 members. So 4 into 7, 28 extra, right? So weight of the grandmother, or the average, her weight would be 56 plus 28. So let's try this last question. He wants to join an IIM, but he needs to score above 50% in his graduation. If he's already scored 40% in 10, how much he need to score in the remaining 10 subjects to be able to qualify for the exam? Now this should be easy, right? You have a 50, you have already 40 over here. So can I say, to balance it out, you need a 60, right? Because here we're talking about 10 subjects here. So there's also 10 subjects. So each 40 ke liye you need each 60, right? Yes. So the answer would be he needs to score 60% in the remaining 10 subjects. So average is easy, right? So that's all for the class on averages today. I hope you really like to solve using the logical and macro approach. But many a time students have been asking me that they are more comfortable using the regular step-by-step method. So my suggestion would be, yes, it is important to know the conventional method, but go beyond that and try to learn the flexible approach. Because in a MCQ questions, that is your multiple choice question, it helps that you are able to predict the answer even without solving. So the flexibility is pretty important. So I hope you would try solving and practicing this method. If you have any doubt, feel free to comment. I'll definitely get back to you. I'll see you in the next video. Till then, happy learning.